If you're looking to grow your sales next year, then you've clicked on the right video, because I'm going to discuss multiple niches and design styles that will see an increase in demand in 2026. So the first trend that I'm going to predict for 2026 is that you will see a lot of new memes or Gen Alpha slang or Gen Z slang trending throughout the year. And there will be some of these trends that won't just be short-lived, but they will probably last for months and months, because this is something that we've seen a lot throughout 2025, and I can't really see it stopping. And I've personally had a lot of regular sellers in a bunch of the niches that you can see right here. So we've got the chicken meme, very viral on social media and has been strong for a long time. Like if you just look at the top seller, this was published 128 days ago, so over 4 months ago. It's got a 4K BSR. That's not your average trend. That's almost like a mixture of trend and evergreen at this point. Then we have 6-7. This has been super strong for, I would say, about 2 months now, 2-3 months. If we look at this design as well, this was published 71 days ago, and I personally have had quite a lot of sales in that niche as well. I don't typically enter a lot of trending niches, but if I can see that there is a lot more longevity in a trend, then why not jump on it? They're often a lot easier to get sales in than your average evergreen niche. Another thing that's been super popular is brain rot. Italian brain rot's been around since kind of earlier this year or the middle of the year, and that's been another really strong kind of Gen Alpha meme. And these often originate on social media. There's also been a lot of these kind of cat selfies with funny phrases attached to them. Here's another one that's kind of been going strong for even longer. This is almost a year old, has a 100K BSR. Here's another kind of funny cat selfie. This is half a year old, 100K BSR. And essentially what I'm trying to say here is that a lot of these trends a year from now, they probably have died down. You probably won't see as many strong sellers that say 6-7 anymore, or a lot of strong sellers with that chicken meme perhaps, but there will be new ones that appear, and these often come from TikTok, or they come from some sort of trending hashtags. You'll probably be able to catch some of them out with Google Trends as well. And you don't even need to be necessarily early to these ones. Like I just recently uploaded some new 6-7 designs, and a lot of them have started to sell very quickly. So definitely keep an eye on new and emerging kids memes, kids slang, all of that stuff, and be really important and really help you increase your sales throughout the year. You can also type in Gen Alpha, for example, and here you can also see some other kind of niche examples. So Rizzlers, Sigma, Aura Energy, No Cap, those have all been kind of popular phrases this year. Here's another one, Listen Up Rizzlers, Sigma, Aura Energy. Last year there was a lot of this kind of skibbity stuff or Rizmas. Now it seems to be getting mixed with 6-7. Bra used to be extremely popular, especially in 2024. It does still persist in some designs, but I feel like it's kind of died down a little bit, and 6-7 and Italian brain rot, etc. is definitely taken over. So it's just some examples of how these trends shift a little bit, but even then you still see a lot of bra showing up, and bra has been around for a long time, just showing that these can be very long-lived, powerful trends, and parents do really like buying shirts for their kids. So these are not to be underestimated. If we come over to the Etsy side of things, I've typed in meme shirt right here in Profitry, and you can see that there is quite a lot of strong sellers right here as well. 6-7 definitely being one of the dominant kind of designs right here that's showing up, and many of these are generating hundreds of dollars in monthly revenue. Here's another one of those cat memes with Rage Consumes Me, a bit more in the bootleg style right there. And if we type in Gen Z shirt, there is quite a lot of these cats that are smoking cigarettes right here popping up, and that's another example of some sort of weird meme that just went viral, and now people are buying it on t-shirts. So I hope that makes sense. Definitely a lot of demand in these kind of Gen Z, Gen Alpha memes, and I don't see it slowing down at all. I just see the kind of topics and the phrases changing, and especially if you're early to some of those trends, you can be making a lot of money. Trending niche number 2 that will definitely see an increase in demand in 2026 is 250. Specifically, the 250th anniversary of the United States. So this is going to happen on the 4th of July 2026, and is also referred to as the semi-quincentennial, which I probably pronounced wrong there. But either way, this is already seeing a ton of demand. If we just look back at these results of Flying Research, the top seller right now has a 17k BSR, and there is loads of other strong sellers. And the style obviously is very patriotic. We see a lot of American flags, and you also see a lot of kind of cross-niching with the Navy, with the Marine Corps, with the Air Force, etc. That is something you have to stay away from, because those kind of official organizations, they are protected by trademark as far as I'm aware. So I wouldn't use those in my designs. But something like this right here with the American flag, with an eagle, etc., with the years, that is totally fine. Now, there is already some trademarks filed for different combinations, like USA 250 or 250 years. So you have to keep an eye out on those as well in terms of your listing. But generally, I think the number 250 on its own is not going to be trademarked, and having designs out there that are patriotic around that number will sell really well. As you can see, there's already so many strong sellers right here, and we're still over half a year away from the actual event. I'm getting almost daily sales in this niche as well, so the potential is massive. Looking at Profitry, in this case I typed in semi-quincentennial, which is a bit of a long keyword that probably not a lot of people are going to use, so make sure to add that to your listing to catch some people that will type this in right here. And there isn't too many monthly sales being reported on these listings on Etsy yet, but it's still early days. As you can see, same sort of thing, American flags, and yeah, a lot of 250s, eagles, etc. And what if we type in 250 shirt? In that case, we have some K-pop Demon Hunters. Okay, 250 years. First one that shows up has 61 monthly sales right now. That is really impressive and shows that there's also potential on Etsy. And in case you didn't know, the research tool that I'm using right here for Etsy called Profitry, this is made by Hannah Gardiner. I've had her on my podcast before. She's really cool, and I really like Profitry because it has a lifetime deal, and for a one-off payment of $67, you get unlimited research on Etsy with the features that you see me use in this video. The only thing that's kind of blurred out or limited with that lifetime deal is conversion rate and visibility score. So you can see how that's kind of blurred out right here, but all of this info on the left, the monthly average sales, average revenue, etc., and all of the amazing filters that they have right here, that's all included in that lifetime deal, which is extremely good value for money. So I'll have a link to that pricing page in the description down below. Another huge trend for 2026 is going to be football. And I don't mean American football, I mean the European version, also known as soccer. And I've selected all marketplaces right here on purpose because I know that football tends to be more popular in Europe overall. So we'll see a mixture right here of different types of designs. Just ignore the ones with the American football. And as you can see, this is a strong niche across multiple different marketplaces. Now, the reason this is going to trend in the coming year is because the World Cup is going to be held in the summer of 2026, specifically between June 11th to the 19th of July. And I asked ChatGPT for a list of the teams that have qualified right here, so you can see the countries that are included in this World Cup. Now, one really important thing about this, put your focus on designs that have kind of flags in them and that are for general national pride, because that's what fans want to wear when they go to these events. They just want a shirt with the flag of their country on them. It's as simple as that. Also focus on general football themed designs like this one right here, or this one on the left, or this one with the girl who loves football, because this sport as a whole will just see a lot more people interested and kind of excited about it. What I don't really want you to do is get too close to the actual teams that are kind of playing in this, like this design, for example, where you're mixing football with the flag of the country, or you're even showing the number of a certain player with the flag or the emblem of that team, of that nation. This is way too close to the fringe and is something that Amazon doesn't like and also commonly removes. And especially these kind of emblems for the official teams, that those are off charts, that those are copyrighted. Don't do that. Like, there's another common thing that people do. Obviously, if Cristiano Ronaldo's playing, he's a very big player, he plays for Portugal, then some people might upload a lot of t-shirts that have the number 7 on it with the Portuguese flag. And then if you also add football to the listing, then you're very clearly trying to sell to Cristiano Ronaldo fans. That is very, very difficult on Amazon, and it's something that's very risky and I personally wouldn't do. Here are a few examples of designs that are okay. So I've typed in Brazil. This is a big football nation and they are part of the World Cup. And you can see these kind of designs right here with the flag, the name of the country with a small flag underneath. We've got a Messi hairband design. Here's one with a heart that has the flag embedded into it. This heartbeat design, probably also a good idea, or just Brazil with some elements of the culture and again, the flag. Also notice how a lot of these right here are on a green background, which again really fits the country. And if we look at soccer shirts right here on Profitry, you can see that there is quite a few ones with strong sales. Now these will definitely see an increase when it comes to or close to June next year. And there's already plenty of listings with thousands of dollars in monthly revenue. The next niche on my list is another sport-based one, and it's one that's flying a little bit under the radar. And that is because in the US, this sport is not very popular. I can see that changing in the future, but right now, if you look at the best sellers for paddle in the US, they're sat around the 500K mark, which is not too impressive. Paddle is not the same as pickleball, by the way. That kind of confused me at first. It is a separate sport. It is a tennis type, racket sport, but it's not pickleball. The thing with this is, if we change the marketplace right here to all marketplaces in Flying Research, then it paints a completely different picture, because a lot of these BSRs for France, Italy, Spain, and even the UK are a lot lower. And I do realize a low BSR in France, Italy, etc. doesn't mean that they're getting as many sales as they would do in the US with this kind of BSR, but still, this sport is a lot more popular in Europe than it is in the USA, and the sales and the reviews as well definitely reflect that. Another way to prove this is if we look at Google Trends. So I typed in paddle right here, and we're looking at the worldwide popularity over the past 5 years for this search term. And as you can see, this curve has been relatively flat until 2025, kind of in the summer. This has really started to grow. It's dropped a little bit right now, perhaps because you're getting to the winter months, and in Europe, that means you can't really do sports outside as much. Maybe that has to do with it, I don't know. But even if we change this to some more specific countries, like let's do the UK for an example, as you can see, the interest in this sport is growing rapidly, especially this year, and maybe it will also come to the US. I know pickleball is really popular in the US, so I can't see why this wouldn't also gain more popularity if it works so well in Europe. On Etsy, right now within Profitry, there isn't really too much happening, and there's not many shirts indexed here, and not many monthly sales, but this is only looking at the US marketplace. If we go back to the international markets, for Amazon merch shirts right here, the sales are definitely flying in. And another reason why I really wanted to talk about this niche is because when I was in Spain recently, I walked into some graphic t-shirt sort of gift stores, and there was a ton of paddle designs there. It was probably the most popular topic within those stores, showing how popular it is in Spain, but also for tourists that are shopping in Spain. So if people are stocking it in their actual in-person stores, then there is demand for it. So as you can see, lots of variety in designs. I do see some kind of templates and styles that are recognizable from all sorts of other sports niches. It's also been cross-niched with flags right here. So maybe not the niche with the highest potential in the world. It's not going to get you thousands of sales a month, but it is definitely one that is rising in potential, as the graphs prove right here. And I do think this sport hasn't seen the peak of its interest yet. The next niche that's going to see an increase in demand for 2026 is 2028. And I know that sounds kind of stupid, but what I mean right here are designs that have the names of potential future presidents or presidential candidates for 2028 for the election. And I know it's still far away from that, but as you can see, there's already some shirts with a 500k BSR. Those are not crazy numbers, but I've already had some sales with different names plus 2028 in the design already. It's only going to kind of slowly creep up more in demand, and I think it's important or quite smart with this kind of niche to get into it way ahead of time, build up some momentum, and before it comes to the actual election. Now, As you can see, there's a mixture of different names right here popping up a lot. We've got Obama, we've got Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, we've got Trump, there is JD Vance, Bernie Sanders right here at the top. There is also some mixed in that are not safe, so you have to be careful, like this Dart and Scatterboo. I think it's related to some football players. But either way, if they are politicians, you should be able to sell these as shirts. And I actually remember that back in 2020 or 2021, I started putting up some t-shirt designs for 2024 for that election. They did actually make me sales consistently for all those years leading up to the election. That's something super easy to do. So if you want to be early to a trend that will already probably do better next year than it is right now, the 2028 niche is a big recommendation that I've got for you. If we look at Etsy for 2028 shirts, there's already some regular sellers here too. For example, we've got Daddy Newsom showing up with that bootleg style. And there's also some Jimmy Kimmel ones. Definitely wouldn't do that again, like TV celebrities are a no-go. Stewart and Colbert, not sure what that is. Again, you would have to double check to make sure that they're actual politicians. But yeah, as you can see, some of these getting regular sales, so it's definitely something that's already on people's mind. And the closer we get to the next election, the more relevant it's going to get. Staying within the political theme, another niche that will definitely trend throughout 2026 is anti-Trump or resist, any kind of shirts that kind of go against the current government. I mean, that's something that always does well no matter who's in power. But I think, especially as we've seen in 2025, there's been a ton of protests. There's been these No Kings shirts doing really well, and there's been No Kings days and demonstrations. Recently, this frog has been really popular in terms of t-shirt sales, and there was this situation with the sandwich guy. So as you can see, these have been really relevant throughout the year, and whilst the kind of designs or the animals associated with this might change, like it might not be always the frog that says resist, the general theme of anti-Trump shirts is definitely going to carry on. Resist has been a very persistent word itself, and I do think this is something that's going to carry on and continue until the next election. The specific theme right here, a specific trend in terms of what designs, what animals, etc., which phrases exactly going to trend, will change from time to time, depends on the current news cycle. But generally, the anti-Trump, protest, resist niche or No Kings niche, all of those kind of falling under the same umbrella, is going to do well in 2026, no doubt. Etsy tells a similar story. So as you can see, multiple listings with hundreds of estimated monthly sales. The top listing actually making over $10,000 in monthly revenue right there. And you can see that there's a bunch of different themes that we had throughout 2025, like the Gulf of Mexico. We had the monarch butterfly kind of design right there. Democracy has no kings. Taco, I do remember that as well, trending for a while. And now there's a bunch of frog designs right here also doing well. So definitely be prepared for more anti-Trump shirts to sell. Just watch out which kind of themes or phrases kind of stick out and start to do better in the next year. Moving on from that, the next niche isn't really a niche, but more of a printing technique. I know that sounds strange again, but what I mean is backprints. I think these are gaining in popularity, and I'll give you multiple reasons for it. If we just type backprint into Flying Research, you don't see a lot of top sellers, but oftentimes these listings don't actually have backprint in the listing data. So yes, whilst I open some of these up, you can see that they are on the back of the shirt right here. It's a bit hard to see on Amazon, to be fair, but on the grey it's more obvious. So there's no neck right here, no neck cut out. So this is definitely on the back, and you can see they've got backprint in the title, but it doesn't get automatically added. So if you want to try backprint, I would add that in the title just to make it a bit more obvious for people that are looking at black and can't really tell. Now, the reason that I'm suggesting backprint as a trend for 2026 is because it is definitely trending and becoming more and more popular. We can see that, number one, by looking at Google Trends again. So backprint right here, United States, over the past 5 years, it has been going up from 30 points right here to its peak 100 this summer, and it's still sat around at 80 points right here in Google Trends. And generally over the past 5 years, it's only gained in popularity. If we look at worldwide, what does it look like? Very similar, with actually a massive jump right here again in 2025, and it's now still higher than it has been throughout most of the past 5 years. So backprint is super popular, super hot right now, and it's gaining in popularity overall. I also noticed this when I'm out and about. There is so many people that have back print on their t-shirts, on their hoodies. I myself have bought a lot of those throughout 2025, whereas I didn't really do that much before. And I've also seen this year, for the first time ever, a lot of top sellers with back print. You might remember this one from Father's Day this year. I don't know if it was this exact shirt, there was multiple, but some of these were selling crazy. They had really low BSRs for Father's Day, and it had kind of a pocket print right here and then massive back print. So there is definitely a lot more potential with this than I'd ever noticed in the past. Another way you can search for these is by typing in on back, and that will again show you some results. If you open these up, they will be on the back of the shirt. The thing is, you can try this out on almost every niche. Like, I've tried this out recently with some new niches, with niches that I'm selling in, and yes, I've gotten some new shirts to sell with a back print. I would definitely type on back or back print into the title somewhere so it's obvious for people. But yeah, besides that, give it a try. It has been super popular, and it can kind of make you stand out and make you a bit more unique, because I bet that 99% of the people upload their designs just to the front. Even that style with pocket, like a small pocket design and then large design on the back, that's also worked for me this year. I haven't had a crazy bestseller with it, but I do have shirts regularly selling with that style. I understand the royalty gets smaller with that, which means you have to price quite high. Like my shirt that's selling regularly with that style is priced at $25, I think, but it's still selling, and I think people are more prepared to pay extra for a shirt that has, front and back print. So anyway, just a bit of a style that I've noticed doing really well this year, and as Google Trends proves, is definitely increasing in demand. Back print shirts on Etsy, also looking pretty good. There is a bunch of regular sellers, nothing too crazy, and these top two look like they're related to music, so ignore those. But we've got some right here, so small little print again on the front, big text on the back, a customizable one where you can change or upload your own design to the front and back. Pretty smart. Got a little pocket shirt right there, again front and back, so you can see that there's definitely a lot of options out here, and they are getting regular sales. So definitely don't underestimate the front and back. It's very stylish, it's very in trend, and it has potential on both Amazon and Etsy. Now I'm going to show you two styles which I see quite a lot of potential in for 2026. And these are styles that I've seen emerging on Etsy, and I think they could work across all sorts of niches, not just on Etsy, but also on Amazon. The first style being this kind of hand-drawn collage with a clunky looking text and these kind of wavy boxes around different elements. Now, this first listing is a bestseller, and if we scroll down to the bottom, it has over 1,500 favorites. This is in the engagement niche right here, and it has that typical Etsy vibe with the mock-ups. There is some other examples like this bachelorette party shirt. It's kind of in a similar niche, right? So the style definitely matches here. The very clunky font stands out to me, and again, we've got these wavy boxes. This does have a bestseller badge as well, and over 500 favorites. And here's another listing, this time I think it's almost the same design, just with different color shirts. Again, this has a bestseller badge, and it has over 700 favorites. Now, I can definitely see this working with loads of other niches. It kind of almost falls in line or takes over perhaps the social club designs, which previously were really popular in the kind of bachelorette, engagement, wedding niches, and then social club suddenly worked for all sorts of different topics. Right here, I think this is almost taking the spot in those niches in terms of this style that seems to be doing well right now. And that's why I think in the future, this could also be working really well in all sorts of other niches. I could definitely imagine this, for example, with a goose, some sort of like silly goose design with this style and lots of funny different poses of geese, like riding a scooter or something. I can see that selling. And this is just the first style that I see potential within, because it is new, because I hadn't really noticed it throughout the year. There's multiple bestsellers, and it already kind of falls in line with things that have been popular anyway, meaning that kind of retro illustration, hand-drawn vibe. It's kind of just a new layout, a new feel. So keep an eye on this style. It might be really popular throughout 2026. And the next one is kind of similar to that. It's again kind of a collage. In this case, it looks a little less hand-drawn. It's more of a detailed illustration, I would say. And it's typically with animals, multiple animals in different poses. And as you can see, this definitely has a retro kind of vintage feel to it. And this is one listing that I found. Bestseller badge says 5 people bought this in the past 24 hours. And if we scroll down, this has nearly 2,000 favorites. Another example is this, again, cat collage with them floating in space. Really, really cool idea. Very funny indeed. Bestseller badge. This says 4 people bought it in the last 24 hours. And this listing has 7,000 favorites. But it doesn't just work with cats. Here's another example with different sea animals. And this one says 2 people bought it in the past 24 hours. Also got a bestseller badge. And it has over 1,000 favorites. So this kind of style, again, falls in line with trends that we've already been seeing, retro illustrations, but this time it's a collage. And I feel like this has definitely been emerging over the past few months on Etsy. I haven't seen it much yet on Amazon, but I see a lot of potential with this style to grow and become more mainstream in the next year. If you really want to take advantage of these niches, then you need to master AI t-shirt design. And to help you out, I created this video right here, which shares all of the most important lessons that I've learned over the past 3 years whilst creating and selling 10,000s of AI t-shirts.